Okay, so you're on your GLP-1 medications and you're not losing weight. Maybe you started losing weight and now you're completely stalled. Slow results, no results, or prior results and no results now. If that is encompassing any one of you guys, then you need to watch this video, because in under 10 minutes, I'm gonna break down exactly how you can fix these issues. In case you guys don't know who I am, my name is Dr. Jones. I have clinics. We service across the nation, all 50 states. I work with my medical practitioners. They prescribe Semaglutide, tirzepatide, retatrutide, Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Zepbound. Of course, we do the compounded. And then we do some powerful peptide therapies, like my favorite is AOD 9604, which is a fragment of human growth hormone. It mobilizes body fat. And then I do the coaching. So what I've created is a structured platform for implementing metabolic health, sustainable lifestyle strategies, things like keto, fasting, and now we're embracing carnivore, and I freaking love it. Heavy weight training so that we stimulate the muscles, sleeping better, handling our stress, all the things that you know intuitively. Like, should I be doing those things? Yeah, you should. How, when, to what degree? That's where the coaching comes into play. And we have a ton of success. At this point, I'd say I'm pretty well known for the guy that does this, right? The coaching, the microdosing, and having the whole platform. That's what we hear every single day, because I'm live talking to hundreds of you guys every single morning. And I do go live 5:30 Mountain Standard Time, TikTok, and mostly always TikTok, and sometimes the other platforms. Let's dive right in, and let's start with slow results, no results. So reason number one, hyperinsulinemia. What is hyperinsulinemia? Hyperinsulinemia is a condition in which your insulin levels are chronically elevated throughout the day. This is a problem because insulin is a very powerful storage hormone. In fact, it's the most potent growth hormone, period. It's actually more potent for growth than growth hormone itself. And so insulin will be elevated from a condition called insulin resistance. So insulin resistance is when your body becomes less responsive to insulin. I have another video you guys can check out. It's a nice little 10-minute video specifically talking about just insulin resistance if you guys want to learn more. So we got hyperinsulinemia. Number two, inflammation. So inflammation can be driven by, the big common category is autoimmune disease. So inflammatory conditions from autoimmune diseases like Hashimoto's, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus. These are autoimmune conditions in which the body's destroying tissue, targeting tissue, destroying it. It's very inflammatory. The body's very sensitive to stress, and there's just inflammation running wild, and this will make you much more insulin resistant. Then you have non-autoimmune inflammatory conditions like PCOS, menopause, post-COVID, Lyme's disease, lots of inflammation. Inflammation will drive more insulin resistance, and inflammation has its own pathways where it mediates these situations in the body where it's in more of a storage mode and less of a fatty mobilizing mode. It hinders, reduces, makes more challenging for your body to burn fat, and promotes more and fosters more of that fat growth. And that's truthfully what insulin does too as well. Number three, we have thyroid. Hypothyroidism is a medical condition in which the body has less thyroid hormone stimulation. There's many versions of it, but at the end of the day, you have less thyroid hormone activation. Thyroid hormone is, just so you know, you have trillions of cells in your body. Each cell has receptor sites for thyroid, and so it's the thyroid hormone activation on a cellular level which is responsible for turning on or triggering or activating the mitochondria, which you got hundreds and thousands of mitochondria per cell, so it's kind of crazy. But the mitochondria are like the batteries of your cells, which are churning out energy. Food that you eat is broken down into smaller parts, enters the mitochondria into the membrane layers, and we have the electron transport chain, and in goes broken down food, basically, in summary, and out comes ATP, usable energy. And so less thyroid hormone activation means less ATP, less energy, which is why you have a whole list of thyroid symptoms, as you can see here on the screen: brain fog, tiredness, difficulty losing weight, constipation, feeling cold, achy body, hair loss, oily skin, brittle skin and nails, just to name a few. So very, very important. And you know, right? Weight loss has always been a thing associated with thyroid. Low thyroid, you ain't losing weight. And then we have cortisol. So cortisol is the stress hormone, and cortisol is elevated when you are either not sleeping enough or when you have stress in your life. That could be physical stress, that could be emotional stress, that could be work stress, spouse stress, any form of stress, and it's happening chronically, is creating this chronically elevated blood glucose situation, which leads to insulin, which leads back to hyperinsulinemia. So cortisol, you got to address the cortisol, but cortisol just ultimately leads back to hyperinsulinemia. inflammation kind of just ultimately leads back to hyperinsulinemia. And then you have thyroid, which is kind of its own beast, which is why sometimes it requires its own medication to fix it, although it is also impacted by hyperinsulinemia. So the way we fix this, guys, is lifestyle. Like the hyperinsulinemia, the inflammation, these are addressed with lifestyle interventions, the fasting, the keto, the carnivore, the lifting heavy weights. This is why we do this very successfully in our coaching program, addressing those issues. Thyroid, you need a comprehensive lab panel. We got to look at TSH, free T3, free T4, reverse T3. This is why many of you are, being told by your doctor your thyroid's fine when you have those symptoms, half or more. Or even worse, you're on thyroid medication like levothyroxine, and you still feel like crap because, long story short, levothyroxine T4 requires some enzymatically driven conversions in your body, and your body's not doing that, and yada, yada, yada. So you need to have a clinic that, and we do all this, by the way, that understands how to look at the lab work, order the right panels, and figure out exactly what's going on, prescribe the right medications, which in many cases, like an Armour thyroid or an NP thyroid, or having a specific T3, T4 blend that's made per patient by the compounding pharmacy. And then cortisol, this is stress management 101. So having a plan to optimize your sleep with lifestyle, and then addressing stress through lifestyle interventions that you can add as well, stress management techniques, having a really good mindset. We spend so much time training on mindset. You might be thinking, like, mindset and stress, what does that mean? It means having the understanding to tackle your stress head on, reorganize it, and make it less stressful, because that'll have a potentially big impact on an improvement in your health. But then we got the dreaded weight loss plateau. And this one's massive. I wanted to interrupt the show for a minute and tell you guys about the free weight loss guide. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. Essentially, what this is your GLP1 comprehensive weight loss guide. I want you guys to minimize side effects. I want you guys to maximize results, crush those weight loss plateaus, use these medications correctly and safely. Again, I'll link to it in the show notes. Now, back to the show. This is what I call zombie mode. This is what I call metabolic downregulation. It kind of mirrors the thyroid scenario, which is why I put it afterwards. We looked at clinical hypothyroidism. When you're in starvation mode, it kind of looks like hypothyroidism. And while medication would fix it, you shouldn't medicate, because this is not an issue of needing medication. This is an issue of you have been not eating enough food on your GLP1 medications. And this is very, very common, because nobody tells you when starting these medications, make sure you eat enough. Think about it, right? You've had food chatter, insatiable food chatter for how many years? For 10, 20, 30 years, you couldn't control your body. You couldn't control your body and not eat when you wanted to not eat. Your body controlled you. Now you start the medication, or 6 months or a year ago, and holy crap, the cloud is lifted, have control. You can now not eat when you want to not eat, because the food chatter is reduced. It's amazing, right? But now we get to the problem. Many of you are undereating because this medication is suppressing your appetite more than it ideally should. But how in the world are you supposed to remember to eat when you're not hungry after finally learning how to not eat when you're not hungry? And you'll understand where I'm coming from and why the weight loss plateau, AKA starvation mode, AKA metabolic downregulation or zombie mode, is almost inevitable for many of you, because you just couldn't get into a situation mentally and force yourself to eat enough after having this whole recent experience of being able to not eat, right? This is why mindset is so important in our coaching programs, and one of the secrets to our success. The way we fix this is a reverse diet. You got to eat more food. That's it. Now, how do you do that? And I know many of you watching this in this GLP-1 induced weight loss stall are scared. And so if you're afraid to do this on your own, then more the reason why you should reach out to us for some coaching. But if you are trying to do this on your own, you got to trust the process. So you figure out how many calories you're eating. Let's say you're eating 1,000 calories. Okay, great. So week number 1, your goal is 1,200 calories. And then week number 2, 14. And week number 3, 16 and 18, and then 2,000. What we're shooting for is a number near your TEE, total energy expenditure. For most people, it's going to be around 2,000, give or take. And you got to pay attention to your symptoms and also the scale. Number 1, you shouldn't be gaining weight. If you are, you're eating too much for your body too quickly, so just slow it down. And you should be coming out of zombie mode, less tired, less brain foggy, less constipated. This isn't rocket science, but it might feel like rocket science because you're not getting any coaching, any guidance, any structure, any support. Nobody is even talking about these things, let alone having a format for you to implement these things. And so If you guys want to learn more about our program and how it works, check out this video right here. It's a deeper dive into what the FLOA protocol is all about. And of course, there'll be a link in my bio. We'll see you guys later.